A huge shout out to the overthinkers.
An overthinker. He watches the show.
To the overthinkers, shout out Buffet too.
All about Fetu, this is Parker, yeah. Thank you, overthinkers.
Keep inspiring the next generation.
Shout out to the overthinkers. Thando kuphela. Much love.
To my overthinkers, mamela ubuchopho ngeke buphume buyakhula nizinja nikhokho yazini as overthink siya overachieve.
I'm stealing that. I've stolen that one. I've stolen it.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is the Overthinking Football Show. My name is George Mokwena. I am your host. The show, of course, is on every Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m. And tonight, we've got 7 p.m. And then also, I'll be back at 11 p.m. for a watch-along of Bafana versus Algeria. So we've got a double header tonight for the show. Guys, if you want to watch any of the previous episodes back, they are available on YouTube in full. So if you could do me the favor of subscribing to the YouTube channel on that side too. I also do other content outside of the show that is football related, local football related, and you can watch those things too. We've had some incredible conversations. Now, if you've ever watched the show and you're wondering, those on YouTube, where are these voices coming from? These people who are always speaking on the show and joining live and calling in. Well, you join by heading over to TikTok, following me now, while I'm live on TikTok. And then there'll come a time where I'll say, I'm going to open up the lines. Bottom of your screen, there's a button that says multi-guest. It's got a blue man, a blue figure hugging a pink figure. Click on that one, request. I'll let you in and you can have your say live on the show. That will appear when I say so for those who don't see it. Guys, a continuation of the conversation that we had yesterday, a very, very dope conversation that we had yesterday. Today, we're going to speak about the PSL side of it. So yesterday, we spoke about how Mamelodi Sundowns was going to get a truckload of money for being able to qualify for CAF Champions League, rightfully so, for Club World Cup, rightfully so. And what implications would those type of tournaments have on football as a whole, especially in the African context? One of the things we touched on is it doesn't seem as though there is a succession within the PSL in terms of the future of the PSL and how we move forward and how we bring the PSL into modern times. And one of the rumors that have come out over the past week or so is that Dr. Ivan Khoza, the Iron Duke himself, is rumored to be retiring. And that has sent shockwaves throughout South African football, with a lot of people coming out and saying that the sponsors are scared if he leaves, who takes over after him. And a lot of the owners have been saying that they don't see anybody else who is right to take over this position. As you know, Dr. Ivan Khoza has been chairperson of the PSL ever since 2003. That would make it 21 years. But also, he was one of the key members in founding the PSL, number one, and negotiating things like our TV deal and all of those things. So he has been a very important figure within South African football for a very long time, since the 80s, right? So now the question becomes, when Iron Duke steps aside, what happens to South African football? What happens when you don't have somebody who can make the call? When you need a sponsor, hey, it's the hour, Bob Ivan, Apps has pulled out of the league, makes the call to MultiChoice. Yeah, we need another competition so that we can make a little bit more money. Makes the call to culling an existing relationship. What happens when that relationship goes away, or the person with the black book, so to say, decides that he's stepping aside from football? What is the future? The other question is, has the PSL done enough in order to make sure that when he moves aside, there is a successor? Guys, our PSL is being run by very old people who have held positions for a very long time. And even in times when we've needed changes, for example, acting CEO, Matu Madala, owner of Golden Arrows, has been in the acting role for 9 years now. Ubab Ivan has been chairperson since 2003. What are the plans to take over? Who takes over? Have these people been bred? And I know a lot of you are going to speak about former players stepping in, Abu Lucas, Abu Doctor, all of these people that we speak about to maybe jump in and take over the reins and do better, quote unquote, right? But the question again becomes, are those people ready? If Lucas Khatebe gets given the chairperson role today, can he become Dr. Irvin from day one? Does he have the context? Does he have the administration power? Does he have the administration knowledge in order to do that? These are some of the questions, guys, that I want to have a discussion with you. My thoughts are already out. I have a video on my YouTube that I put out, but I want to have this discussion with you and hear your thoughts about this. So, guys, I'm going to open up right now. Let's see. Please remember that you have to be following me in order to join me, following me in order to add your voice to the show. Remember, at the bottom of your screen, there's a button that will appear that says multi-guest. Blue figure hugging a pink figure or next to a pink figure. Everybody can jump in, guys. It doesn't mean this show is for certain people. As long as you're following me, you can jump in and I will give you some time. Let's see who is on the line. Some time. Kumo, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Ah, grand, wena.
I'm a Nakimnati Kumo. Always Kimnati. Kumo, tell me, what are your general thoughts about Dr. Ivan Khoza, the Iron Duke, stepping aside, or rumors of him stepping aside?
First of all, legend, founding father. But when this guy needs to get all the flowers that he deserves, and rightfully so. Mara, eras, dynasties come to an end, and this guy, as much as we appreciate all his work and deeds, it's about time. His retirement is long overdue. Right? As a supporter of the biggest team and most richest lucrative team in Africa, in Sundowns, each network,
Yeah, we can still hear you. I can still hear you.
well, ke bona Adidas, I get area though, it's a network. So yeah, there's been some instances tsabu invisible VAR where the scheduling doesn't favor us. 1 week you wonder, or because this guy, he's affiliated to Orlando Pirates, is he complicit? I wanna so but the agent that ready to serve. But the CEO la good. But you save we need young blood. This guy has done everything possible that had needed to be done back then in the early 90s, in the 90s and early 2000s. And Bona, he's done a lot. We appreciate all his hard work and deeds, man. This guy will go down as I wonder when you talk about PSL. Again, he's the PSL. Mara ixesha ebukhumo re tlo run and stuff. And kutlilo olela ka bo Dr. Khumalo. Una le metric. Una le influence besides natural. Why one? Buluka cyclists are much more cosmopolitan. Ba itse batho go England, basaya go FIFA. Khona lenyana wa bona a shout weekend an argument there. Where one and the other thing is, guys, we see being a former player and being liked doesn't mean that you're gonna be good at admin. Admin is another thing, hey? Especially football, because like you need to know the laws, you need to have that decorum when you speak to what you call this, to sponsorships, you need to understand the laws and stuff. And as much as succession plan, Mr. Khoza, Dr. Khoza. He's the chairman. There are people under him who are working and doing all. So I do believe for the black thing. Sorry, is it my network?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Or let's see. I'm mute them. Sorry, bro. Is it not better?
Yeah, it's better. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if we can get, I'm not saying hey, if we can get people like Bojisiga Mutahuni, if we can get who else? Pitso Mosimane, he's young, but like with the work that he's been doing with Sundowns, if you can get people with the similar stuff like those people, I think those people can elevate our PSL into greater heights. I get there's this saying about people had to walk so people can run. So yeah, man, I could about I don't level so it would be in peace, but
Bara, Kuba, but it's fine. Let me go to Prastomi. Prastomi, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great, bro. How are you?
I'm good. Prastomi, tell me, what are your general thoughts about this rumor of Dr. Khoza stepping aside?
OT, before I make any submissions, man, bully is a good panelist. Lesiba, Kuzo, Agent, and Kumo. Now I put I am. OT, whereas by every time the request and there's the behavior I am, the like you live because I like what you're doing. And keep on doing the great job. I'd keep on sharing ideas about football. Otherwise, such things they make us to grow more and more. So I like what ukwazi ukuvula I platform mention. Now the funny akulento ka bra Irvin, Dr. Khoza. First of all, into endizayithetha mna othi is that ndiyayibulela le chap with the great job he has done for the country, with the great job he has done with the likes of Motaung satsho sanento sikwazi uyikhomba in African football. Sithi South Africa sine league that we can say nansi league yethu, and out of low league siyayazi we can count, we have players esikwazi uzicount as is true ngale league yethu. So Tina, let us be grateful but we had so much person umntonje in heart who believed in the idea he had nabo Kaizer. So all in all, my brother, ndithi farewell to ibura endala, and with the rumors that I heard noba possible but he won't run again but aphinde ebe nguchairman. Actually egqibeleni ebengazuhlala for good in that position. At some point befuneka bekhona someone who's taking over. Now the question comes, ubani who's fit to be in that position? And again, on that position, basically, Tina, we all point out opinions. It will not be facts, but ke sizawuzama sibeke abantu we wish bekuthiwa ibingabi in those positions. The likes abo I believe abantu abafana nobo Lucas Radebe.
I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come to that, Prastom. I'm gonna come to that.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna come back.
With the rumors, and when I heard the rumors, the Vector 40, such idea, nabantwana bamcengile besithi time, noko man, ithuba selilide. And again, I don't think sifune leaders, funeka zawude zifele kwi-positions. Noko bra Irvin ngoku ifama kayobuka abazukulwana bakhe, akhulisa abazukulwane, and abazukulwane ndisho with the time ebenalo kwi-PSL, they learn so much. Even umntana wakhe learn so much. So how I wish abazukulwane ne-South African can learn more abantu abafana nabo Dr. Irvin Jogo, because it says we as a country, we have a place to say nakumntu wethu. We are in this position because of such people. So this is a great news, bro. Andifuni noba ndiyithathe wrongo ndize nge-negative into yoba no okhoza babekhona, they monopolize i-PSL. At some stage abantu bebeyiqalile into bekuzonyanzeleka into zibayifavorishe, uyabo. But ke ngoku I cannot point fingers ndibe negative and deny the fact that there are very good things azenzileyo esikwazi uzikhomba namhlanje siyakwazi uthetha on your panel and discuss football, and abo bantu they open such channels. So now I'm very grateful too much, and I have nothing to say a negative because sendiphumile kweso stage ngoku for being negative. Most of the time we need to be positive and be grateful for such things. Enkosi man.
Thank you, Brastomi. Let me go to Agent. Agent, my brother, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Man, Nakim Nati. Tell me, what are your general thoughts about this news that Dr. Ivan Khoza might be stepping aside?
I think it's a
Well,
bittersweet
retiring.
thing. It's a bittersweet thing. Bitter in the sense that who is next? You know. I'm looking for an example, but I don't know how. No malicious intent made. I'm not implying anything. I'm just giving an example. I'm just a random example. You know, just a random example. I'm not implying anything. I repeat, I'm not implying anything. But you know, sometimes they fear that an
But you're
ordinary.
giving us a typical example, just like on the
Whoa,
field. Ne?
what's happening? What's happening? I'm
No, I
coming.
just
I'm
wanted
coming. I'm
some
coming.
there's a reason why I was putting
Order,
it
guys.
in
I'm
his stream.
coming.
No, I think he got the drift of what I wanted to say, but
Yeah.
it's okay. But I wanted to say sometimes the difficulty is, let me not use South African politics, let me use England politics. Sometimes maybe the problem is not changing the Labour Party, is just that we think, hey, what is the alternative? You know, there is comfortability in knowing. You know, there's a saying, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know, you know. So for me, it's a bitter thing. I'm like, but in as much as maybe we don't see the growth that we've been seeing or that we expect, but what is happening? But there's progress nonetheless. You know, he's been holding that position where PSL was, where it is now. You know, guys, there is progress. I'm not gonna be harsh on him. You know, so sometimes people forget that we had to do a catching up game because of the apartheid era. We have to do a lot of catching up game, and I think they've done it. You know, hence SA with its infant stage democracy is arguably the best league in Africa. You know, so sometimes you have to give kudos to people like Ivan Khoza and say, but who's gonna come next? You know, sometimes the one who's gonna come next is gonna change things. You know, sometimes changing too many things, it ruins things. You know, that's the bitter side of things. You're like, but what is coming next? That is the worry. That is he gonna improve the thing? And maybe in his improving, he's gonna destroy the very thing. You know, look at the MLS. The Americans thought they were improving football by having a closed section, what, you know, and it ruined the game, you know.
Yeah.
So there's that worry, but sweet in the sense that there's an echo, man. I don't know what's happening, but
think it's
sweet
on
in the
your
sense
side,
that I would. I think after I make my point, I'll jump out and then come back. But sweet in the sense that it gives us a chance to restructure, because I think this is the opportunity time to restructure and bring in a perfect structure. You know, maybe akin to the EPL, where we have an independent board of directors. I think maybe this is the opportune time, because at any time you couldn't say to Khoza that, no man, get out, we're not bringing in new executives, what, all these things, you know, because of the respect we have for him, you know. So maybe this is the perfect opportunity to say, guys, the guy is going out, this is the opportunity time for us to restructure, and we bring in people. And you don't appoint people, it doesn't have to be Hadeb, it has to be, even if it's some random CEO who knows nothing about football, nothing, as long as he's a good administrator and can do the stuff, then they can fight with Hadeb there, and then
Okay. I'm gonna come back. I wanna quiz you on that one. Malume Kutso, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Mr. OT, unjani?
Right, man, Malume Kutso. Malume Kutso, here's a rumor that Dr. Ivan is going to retire. What are your general thoughts about this news?
Yeah, no, Nami, I want to pass greetings to everyone. You know, Prastomi greeted us in a heartwarming way. and he proceeded to encourage everyone to tap the screen, guys. Let's tap the screen. I would love with Mengeshala. It's on 2.8 right now. I would love Uti in the next 2 minutes, even on 3,000. Very heartwarming from Prastomi. Mr. Uti, also, besides Prastomi, the kettle, the pot calling the kettle black. Someone is complaining that Ivan Khoza controls the PSL and has interest in Pirates. Imagine, and they support Sundowns. Ayazi impilo mara. But Mr. Oti, this is a soldier, Mr. Oti. You know, oh, it's 3,000. Thank you. This is a soldier, Mr. Oti. When I look at Abu Ivan Khoza, Kaizer Mtaung, and I'm calling them by name and removing the respect a bit, because I look at them and I see, somehow I see myself, I see you, I see everyone in this panel. These are young people who were able to make something out of themselves and create a long-lasting legacy to a point where we don't see them as human beings anymore. I always say that the admiration I have for a young black man from Pefeni to go and build an entire soccer city, if I may, but not soccer city as the stadium, but soccer city as an city of football, that facility. It's commendable, Mr. Witten, for another young black man to go there and influence the country to a point where we even get the FIFA World Cup, Mr. Witten. And when you also listen to former players, that he was also integral we the kind king we never bafana 96 when he had we would go to Congo, and because of he is the way he is, he would walk through guns and soldiers and tell them he's also a soldier where he comes from. He's a general, and Bafana would be able to train, which also explains why parents has always been able to sort of participate in Africa without complaining. It's because the very leader, Mr. Oti, had that mental set, and obviously it will trickle down to everyone else, Mr. Oti, I understand. And I think I'll share the video in the group where it shows the influence as well, to say he's a Pirates chairman, yet he pulls Kaizer Chiefs star to the side before a certain game, a very important game for Bafana, and says to him, do it for the country. And that very legend says it inspired him. He started shaking because the chairperson had said to him, "Spege wena boy." So it also shows a level of honesty, to say he knew what was good for the country. He could see the doctor was a superstar, and we could rest our hopes on him. You understand? And I think greatly is able to divorce himself from his feelings and see what's good for a team. So I just wanted to also point out it's not only about what he did for EPSL, but also Safa and Bafana as a whole. Also, so Agent just mentioned the fact that Besingeko during apartheid we had been banned, and I think he was also part of the Brains Trust that was able to get us back, and immediately within a short space of time, not only get us the actual trophy, but also get us to host the AFCON, not once. I think, how many times have you hosted it? Have you hosted it twice already? The AFCON, if not three. Unless I'm mixing the chain. Yeah, I think, but
I think it's chain.
Three tournaments. The AFCON and also the World Cup. So this is someone we should celebrate. We have a lot of streets named after Nelson Mandela, and I feel a stand or a section somewhere in some stadium, or a seat maybe in all the stadiums, seat number 76 in all the stadiums being named after Ivan Khoza for the contribution he has brought to EPSL. Of course, someone new can bring something else and elevate it to higher levels of football. But for now, where he has put us, I think he has crawled to a point where his knees are red with blood right now.
Okay. Let me go to Lisiba Sundowns. How are you? Welcome. can just unmute there. There we go.
Thank you, Brastomi.
Lisiba, tell me, what do you think about this? Yeah, champa, Mara, let's carry on. What do you think about this news of Dr. Khoza possibly retiring?
Brastomi, I think it's a good idea. To say this, Dr. Irvin Khoza has been there. Chairman is our chairman. We love him, and then in Kaizer, it's a good job. Like since I built PSL, it's a legend. We respect him for that. Brastomi, I think like in my network, I have a problem here. Can you please skip me and then give other people a chance, and then I will come back.
Okay, we'll come back. Just a correction there. Prastomi is one of the people on the panel. They usually call me Mr. OT, so I was just... but never mind. Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of the conversation now. Kumo, I have heard a lot of people complaining. A lot of owners, a lot of people saying that they are so scared that when Ubab Ivan Khoza steps aside, a lot of the things are going to break. And some owners have come out. I know the Santos owner has said this. I know there's been some sentiments shared. Is this a problem with the EPSL succession plan for this chairmanship? Did we wait too long up until he had to retire before thinking about what would happen next?
Okay. First of all, the PSL is bigger than Irvin Khoza, le Motaung, le Soweto derby. Wanjalwang, it will survive. Even if those teams get relegated, it will survive. And Mara, I want to say something quickly before load shedding. Yes, I know what I said when I say Dr. Khoza. Okay, there's some relevance, even though it's shade. Ne? Dr. Khoza Ramorata, Mara, let's not forget who like he had some mafia tendencies. Are honest, ne? There's a reason why Santos, John committees, they back this guy up. Yes, he's good, like at what he does. Mara, what about mafia tendencies in terms of like, why is he always being unopposed to for doing the same thing every year? That is why, okay, and imagine refer Dr. Irvin Khoza something stand go Blue Bulls call of Tase Mabura half and Nana will let Dr. Khoza seat number what. But I'm real estate you go PSL house or go Orlando. I agree the anchor tenants are not this stadium for Dr. What. Well, Taloang. Happen as a Sundowns fan, not the very same chairman at PSL. Or Hanne Sundowns, so a gala MTN a gala go to a call of task because there's Vodacom branding. But the same guy, alongside his friend Kaizer, were able to play brand their Vodacom, more competition near MTN 8, now I'm gonna go and beat them. But Hanne Swallows, a great telecom as a sponsor for whatever reasons that day. So no one put there's governor when you over absolute power corrupts absolutely. Get this guy. Yeah, get Dr. Khoza. He didn't know when to leave. He overstayed his welcome. Now his legacy it's somewhat tainted. Ne? Granted, nothing has been proved. Mara issue, I think, man, you can tell or Mara is 1 and 2 and 3 doesn't make sense. So and as much as I like to make fun of Pirate and Chiefs, it pains me because this guy, man, the things like after watching that documentary, I gain more respect for him. Marahel going forward, maybe Uhudil, Agitsuri, Alzheimer, it's a common thing. Go Orlando, I get so I get maybe if you now. So No, bruh. Sponsors what? I get it when the PSL Inyangadi sponsor, they sponsor the PSL. Are we gonna sponsor Dr. Khoza? So there's no fear mongering except that. And Habed, like I said before, there are people behind Dr. Khoza, from your receptionists, your PAs, your assistants. Those people will be able to work under someone new, ne? Especially someone look business acumen, le admin, go C level shoot. If this thing is a machine, it's gonna be run properly with a new face to take us to higher heights. We're gonna be okay. We love him, but PSL is bigger than him. Can we?
Guys, let's tap the screen there. Follow if you have not followed. Let's try to get to 15,000 likes. Agent, a worrying thing that I'm hearing from the people around the league when these rumors have come out is that they're so scared that the moment he leaves, everything leaves with him. So, is this maybe proof that maybe there wasn't a clear succession plan for Ivan Khoza, for Dr. Ivan Khoza when he leaves, and maybe that they didn't take the time to pass the reins on to the next person in order for them to, push forward with this?
Yeah, the thing is, no one has monopoly of wisdom. No one is. There will always be someone who's gonna think better than you. So I think that's the case for me, that there will be someone who's gonna do better, and it's not wrong to do better than Mr. Khoza. Like the guys were saying, some people have to crawl so that others can run. It's the cycle of life. I think for me it reflects poor structure, right, more than anything. I think in this entire show, I won't utter a single bad word. Like in my culture, we don't say bad things about dead people, in a funeral. In a funeral, we don't say dead things about about dead people. So this is like the end of an era. If this was maybe 2 months back and we know nothing about his retirement, I would go hard. But because this is an end of an era, I'm a bit soft, on the guy. So I won't say any bad thing about him, even though there are bad things like Kumo was saying. But for me, I think it reflects bad structure, that it was more of what do they call it? Cater deployment. Like we want to put our friends and everything there, and it's a lack of structure, and that's why I say for me, it's an opportune time to restructure the whole PSL and come up with a better structure. Like I said, you can copy from what EPL is doing, where all the 20 teams or 16 teams in our case are the shareholders. They appoint a chair and other non-executive committee, independent executive committee members, and those are the guys that run. And then at an annual meeting, every shareholder, we have the same power. Every shareholder has the same power. They can share ideas and everything, but the day-to-day running is done by an independent committee. So for me, it reflects poor structure. Like I say, we have Mantoma as the acting CEO, until recently I didn't even know that Dr. Khoza is in the PSL structure, so there's a lot of
the SAPA structure
things, SAPA structure. There's a lot of things in the structure that you ask yourself, what is your job really? How did you get it? So for me, it's about restructuring. Like I said, it's an opportune time that someone is going out, and he's going out with applause. Now we're not kicking him out, so let's restructure and put in the right people with the right qualifications.
But doesn't it make it harder when you are replacing? It feels a little bit like your team, Man United, when Ferguson left, that he held so much power that trying to change it was almost impossible, because it seems like everybody wasn't up to par with what they were meant to do. And Kamo, the person who has to come in, almost has to come in with incredible everything, incredible connections, incredible ideas, incredible power outside of the PSL. Does it make it an almost impossible task, at least for the first person in after?
Yes, I think that's where we have to be careful that we don't bring in another Khoza. I hear people throwing around maybe a month to replace because he's been in and around there, maybe John Comitius or maybe Motsepe or whoever, Motsepe or whoever. No, for me, that's what I'm saying, an independent person. Let's not create Dr. Khoza 2.0, someone who's gonna come there and say, let's say it's Motsepe Senior, even though he wouldn't take downgrade, but let's say it's Motsepe Senior. He comes in and says, guys, I have pulling power. It's not the PSL that has pulling power. So he holds extreme power because of his own pulling power. So let's be careful not to replace Dr. Khoza with a Khoza again. That's why I don't want anyone who is coming in and he's bringing in his weight of football, like even Jessica Motaung, bring in someone who you're going to put in the right structure around him so that PSL as a brand, as a company, can have a pulling power. I can give an example of the young Patrice Motsepe. I'm not going to question his leadership skills, because I think he's made some decisive actions. But you look at the structure that Motsepe left, such that even when a young person replaces him, the center holds because the center is very strong. So it's going to be a difficult period, maybe 2, 3, 4 years. Some sponsors will pull out and everything will happen, but we have to enjoy it, unless if you want to create it. Another Dr. Khoza, 10 years along the lines, he wants to go out. What happens again? You're in the same situation. So you must go for the long-term solution. Yeah.
Let me bring up Vuyo. Vuyo, welcome to the show. How are you, my brother?
I'm good, my brother. How are you?
I'm good. I'm going to throw into the deep end, Vuyo. There's a rumor that Dr. Khoza might be retiring. Now, the question that I'm asking is, does this show, Guti, there was no plan for what was going to happen post to Dr. Irvin Khoza? And is he maybe a little bit too powerful? And that makes it hard.
He has been there, so it's very, very hard to replace him. Like, you can't prepare to replace him. He was the chairman forever, so I think it's the time now to go. We are thankful for the job he has done for the South African football, but now I think it's the right time to give other person the opportunity, young, to change everything, the structure of the PSL, to develop young players, to take our football in a different league, in a different structure. So we are thankful for what he has done, but I think someone else must take this opportunity. Because he can't be the leader forever. At some point, even if he cannot retire now, he's old, Ivan Khoza. He's no longer a young man. So at some point, we need the young Motaung to run the league. I'm just making an example.
The way you have to jump quickly to say. Okay.
That's
okay,
my opinion.
I'm gonna come back. Let me go to Prastomi. Prastomi, when I hear people shaking at a leader leaving, it scares me because it feels as though they're not ready for this, they haven't planned for this, and it's sort of taking them by surprise. Is it an issue? And can we point to EPSL, the structures, and say, Mara, is not right if it seems as though this person was carrying everything, and now it makes it harder to replace that person because Longenayo has to be able to have some of those powers, if not all.
OT. We ask about OT. We ask about to have a plan in place. At some stage, it helps open a plan. Because we are also when you go out, because someone who's gonna take over. But at this point now, with my understanding, I like the fact that when you got any arrangement of a plan, so that when it goes off Ubra Khoza, she has but now umuntu ozofika apha and drive this train akazofika driving the idea of Khoza, because there was a plan yoba when I move out, someone must execute what I want and continue
Yeah.
with the idea that I had,
Yeah.
so that ibe ngathi kwabantu when lo muntu esenza such things kuzovela more things oba hayi vele wayebekwe ngikhoza in that place. So
That's true.
my understanding is very different on this. Hence na ndibona it is a very good thing yoba athi ngoku with the time he had as a chairman athi no, ngoku ndiyabeka phantsi intambo and ndinika i-chance yabantu to take over. Enye into that I want to mention, OT, with uba kungakhona umuntu ozo-take over, uzawuthatha kwinto ebisenziwa ngikhoza enze more. Thina we want to see more. It's not like le nto ayenzileyo ukhoza is enough. Yeah, vele is enough, but not enough. We are so grateful because usenzele into saba nento, a point of reference yoba there was a time kuzodlala i-World Cup eSouth Africa. If besinganayo a league, besingazuba nayo i-World Cup. So abantu abanjalo, we should be grateful. And in the point yam bendingafuni ndiyibeke exactly on Khoza, because bendifuna ubeka everyone who's around in order ifootball yethu ibe kwesi stage kuso. Now kwinto bendiyibawela, I wish kubekho umuntu ozofika with the idea at as much as iteams ziyi-16 ngoku siza-add sibe yi-20. Then when we relegate 3 teams straight, kunyuke 3 teams okanye kunyuke 2 teams, then let's start idlala i-playoffs, okanye u-3 2 4 5 uyotsho ku-6, yeah, u-3 uyotsho ku-6 ezo teams idlala i-playoffs for i-third team ibe khona kwi-league. Otherwise zinto ezipositive esizibawelayo, because asikwazi uba si-always and point into ezi-negative ngokhoza, because nam ndinazo into ezi-negative, but at some point ndiyayazi uba they're not helping anywhere, because to point them out ngoku azuzujika nto sezenzekile. Now we need to come with a positive mind ukuba from here going forward what are we doing. So mna andifuni isentsha uba ndiyenze le nto about ukhoza, because andiphuma on the certain side and I want to point i-fingers kuyo ndithi Khoza, kodwa ke ixesha elininzi you monopolize i-league and i-league favored i-Pirates, but uphinde ujonge kwenye icala the very same league abe ngu-chairman kuyo, it has favored ezithi team also, not i-Pirates precisely. So mna ndi-so grateful kakhulu, and ngoku andiyifuni le nto ithethayo into yoba ethi bekusuppose there was a plan in order okanye plan in place yoba to continue so that to execute le plan kakhoza. So mna I understand ngayami indlela which is different, and ke ngoku andifuni isentsha uba ndiyenze a topic to debate nonye umntu ingathi I'm fighting someone's opinion. Enkosi bhuti.
No, trust on me. It's a valid point that you're making. It's a very valid point. If there's a succession plan, you might just be doing the same thing over and over again. Guys, let's tap the screen and get to 15,000. Those in the queue, I see you, Ray, Velile, Napoleon. I'm going to bring you on just now. Let me finish with this panel, and then I'll bring you guys on to have your say as well, and to anybody else that wants to jump in and add their voice to the show. Malome Kuto, can this be seen as... Can we ask questions of the structure of the PSL now that one person is said to be leaving and everybody is now shaking? Does this maybe throw questions as to whether they had a succession plan or a plan for when Dr. Khoza was leaving, whether somebody was being groomed? What does that say about that situation?
Well, Mr. Uti, firstly, or should I say Prastomi? I just want to highlight the fact that Agent tongue has slipped twice, and he has referred to Ivan Khoza as Abuti Kuto. I don't know how.
Maybe it's a premonition, Malume Kuto. Maybe it's a premonition.
Pagama Malume Kuto. But, and also, Mr. Oti, what's odd about what Agent said, he says, let's not bring in another Ivan Khoza. or another Khoza, if I'm quoting it verbatim, and then he proceeds to say, we should commend Patrice Motsepe for bringing in another Motsepe. That is just, yeah, questionable. But anyway, Mr. Uti, for me, there is some sort of succession plan. But I also stand with Uprastomi to say there is no need for a succession plan. We should bring in someone with new ideas or with a solid framework from his own pocket, and he knows what he. Because if we look at Ivan Khoza, Dr. Ivan Khoza, and Dr. Taung, I think he's also a doctor. Actually, we discussed it. He is a doctor. It's their acumen that makes a team. If you can look at Dr. Motsepe, I think he's also a doctor. It's his business acumen that has Sundowns where it is.
Yeah.
And not just Sundowns, it's like where he is. Because I'll always remember this one girl, Mr. OT, when I was still a student. Ke shapa the pitch job, ke sign to the form the loan.
Yeah.
And Dr. Motsepe donated half of his estate. And this girl said something so random. And I just thought, this doesn't make sense. She just said, he wants to be president. And I was like, why would you think of that? Just, it's a good deed. And later on, he would become president of CAF. So it shows with abanye abantu banayo lento le. And I if I would see that girl, I would tell her, hey, there's something about you. You're on the money. You understand, Mr. Uti. So I would love to see someone else come in, someone who's naturally gifted. And I just want to point out, if we're going to go on qualifications, Apple dipped when they tried getting a former CEO in the frame of John Scully.
Scully.
And they had to, and they had to go back to, and they had to go back to proper structures or whatever that is natural to Apple, and it saved them. And I see they've gone back to making a profit in a questionable way instead of a tech. However, as collab, all I'm saying is, Mr. Uti, I look at Abu Tim Sugazi, I look at Abu John Comites, and I think there's a track record in the sense they have teams that are younger than 10 years in the fashion of Cape Town City and TS Galaxy. But these teams have become so stable that I'm sure you would bet your last cent that they'll be around in 10 years' time. And they're gathering momentum. They're building a culture for both teams. So it does show you which nabo banai acumen in that we are in safe hands, Mr. OT. I legit look at Tim Sugazi and I look at John Comites and say, John Comites is building a family vibe. What's this? And it's looking good, Mr. OT.
Have you seen the sponsors? Have you seen the sponsors? Cape Town City.
Mr. OT,
People
I
don't
see
know.
people who I wouldn't usually see. Guma extra strong.
Yeah.
People who in our stadiums, and by our, I don't need to elaborate on what I'm saying in our stadiums, those people sit in VIP. But there by Cape Town City, they sit Kuma extra strong. They look good. They look comfortable. So he's building a very nice environment there. I see how Tim Sugazi has then the Ndebele vibe going on. He has his drum vibe going on. He's engaging the people of KwaNdebele properly. So there is some form of leadership coming through the ranks for me. And I feel safe. Obviously, we will always panic, Mr. Uchi. I mean, as a country, people ran away when Nelson Mandela came in. They went to Australia. Some of them are coming back. Some of them are staying put. Some of them regret. Some of them think they made the right decision. Of course, it depends on which side your bread is buttered, so you would understand. But all I'm saying is there's no need to go into panic mode. The only thing we should do is vote for the right candidate. I would love to see it as an open poll, not to the public, because the public is making a decision, Mr. OT. Is someone I see the names being thrown around in the comments. I'm not like the smartest person in the world, but I'm like, I understand. I would love to see um, this is gonna sound bad, but I feel there's a group of people who are taking over where they can. They've taken over at FIFA, they've taken over at CAF, and if South Africa, for me, this is just a conspiracy. I can see they're already working on Danny Jordaan, because it cannot be that the same modus operandi that got Sepp Blatter out, the same modus operandi that got the CAF president out, is being used to get out the Ghana King. Oh, what, Mr. Oti, you can see it. If
I don't want to say. I don't want to
I'm not
say.
saying it's him. I'm just saying it's a coincidence. It's a very nice coincidence. I understand. If those very people can team up with someone, because I can see FIFA has moved and they've created the Club World Cup, which is nice. CAF has created the AFL, which is very nice. I think if those very people can come in and take over, they can actually end up. Because now that I'm thinking about it and my brains are working overtime, I foresee a proper marriage between SAFA and PSL within the coming days.
Listen, I know the show is overthinking, Mara. Let's not go there just yet. Guys, thank you to those who joined me on the panel. Hey, Malume Kutso, don't put me in hot water, man. Don't put me in hot water before.
This is not an allegation against anyone. I don't mean it. I'm just saying, Jay.
Galenza, thank you so much to the panel, guys. Please tap the screen and follow if you have not followed. Subscribe if you're not subscribed on YouTube, guys. 15,000. Let's try to get to 15,000 and see if we can't get even further than 15,000 likes. Just tap the screen. It's free. Thank you, Velile. Thank you, Tsakani. Thank you, Lebogang and Tabi, for the gifts there. Guys, send the gift, man. Send the gift. I want to continue this conversation. So the guys who are coming in, I'm going to throw you into the deep end a little bit. Ray, welcome to the show. How are you, my brother?
Thank you very much for taking my call.
Ray, I'm gonna ask you to do two things. Number one, just your brief general thoughts about Dr. Khoza potentially retiring, and then number two, is this time now for the PSL, as others have been suggesting, is this now time for the PSL to go in a completely different direction? Would that be wise?
Yeah, for me, I think we first need to appreciate Dr. Khoza for what he has done for us, the league, the country in general. So we shouldn't really come to a point where we tend to disregard what he has done. But the biggest problem in Africa, in African leadership, is people overstaying their welcome. So if you check the presidents, now Msholozi want to come back through the MK, they are used to power, your Mugabe's. So I think he should have left probably 5 years ago, but we do appreciate him. And I'm very happy. I think it's time for him to rest, allow young minds to come in. Personally, I'm thinking of Lux September to come in. I think, the guy can bring a change. And because he has worked with sponsorship as well. But the person who comes, regardless of whoever they elect, as long as it's not Mato Madlala, I think he's also old. Whoever comes in should increase the numbers in the league. We're having 16 teams. We need at least 18 teams, and 2 must go directly to relegation. This thing of, having to play playoffs while you are number 2 in NFD, I think it's very much unfair. So if they can just change that in terms of the direction, and obviously, sorry?
No. I wanted to ask you, how easy or difficult is that going to be? Because I know Dr. Ivan Khoza is leaving, but the people who had voted him in, the people who had kept him in their power, kept him there, and rightfully so, are still going to be there. How receptive will they be to these new ideas that we're speaking about?
I don't think it's going to be easy, because if you check, I'm a Chiefs fan. I can't, I don't want Dr. Motaung to be there. He's equally old. I don't want your TDLers, your committees to be there. They've been there for a long time.
Mm.
We need a young person, very vibrant, very vocal. We need just a different school of thought. I mean, like in corporate, obviously we know the standard operating procedures. You know, you just need somebody with, like the other guy said before, somebody with business acumen, somebody with, you know, focus in terms of marketing. How can we make? You remember when Trevor, I forgot his name. When Trevor Phillips came to PSL directly from Inland, he came in. He had, you know, the marketing background, you know, the leadership management background. Then at least he managed to commercialize PSL. That's what we need. We need somebody with commercial background, business leadership. We need somebody who obviously 30% of understanding the game, because that's business actually. The executive doesn't have to do much, but to generate more revenue, make PSL more sustainable, bring in financial fair play. I know others are going to fight with me on this. Bring in financial fair play, empower small teams. And this thing of merry-go-around of small teams, it shows that the guys can pay the players. You understand? So we need to help teams like Swallows with sponsorships, you know, when they come with, you know, your telecom sponsors. If we are not taking that, where can we recommend them? How do we bring what we call, you know, supplier development in terms of sponsors who can give us a title, but really can assist us in one area or another. So empower all the 16 teams. I think that can really help, you know, to generate more finance and also bring back the viewership. We are tired of Sundowns, guys. They've got a lot of money, and it's really taking our football backward.
Let me bring in Velile. Velile Mtakababa, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Pastor me.
Hi, man. I wish I was Uprasto, man. But anyway, Velile.
Sure,
Two things. Very shortly. Your general thoughts about Dr. Irvin stepping aside, and then secondly, is it possible for Le League to make all of these new changes? Is it going to be possible? Ngoba khamba umuntu oyi-one. Lo uzongena usazobheka abo babukeza, usazobheka abo batomadala, abo committees, and ekudala bavuma lezi zinto ezenzakalayo ku-PSL. Do you think it will be easy to change that?
First of all, ngibulisa abafowethu kupanel nakuma-comment nalabo bakhona on the previous panel, of which they've said a mouthful, ikakhulukazi uBrastomi.
The real Brastomi.
The real Brastomi, yes. I really love the way he analyzed it and the way I began a corner. In terms of analyzing role Dr. Khoza as a PSL chairman, I analyze I said Orlando Pirates chairman, because sometimes I confused izinto. So we are talking about Dr. Ivan Khoza as the PSL chairman. So yeah, my point to what I can say is Ivan, it's one of those black excellent, I think, that we need to celebrate, especially taking into consideration because remember, Pirate, he was fetched by Abu Kaizer from Alex to come and become the secretary here Orlando Pirate in those olden days, up until he worked his way up. I own it as much as I'm about to mafia and boss. It's sometimes in life you need that. You can succeed with it. If maybe he wasn't that boss and someone's bringing that mafia style thing, maybe Pirates, if I go before Swallows or ISA exist at all, man. Especially if you take into consideration the way among the clubs, soweto, especially Pirates, we know good Pirates, history. There was a time whereby Pirates was playing, then two Pirates came into a stadium. No one did even knew which was the right Pirate or not. So, and he also survived that. So I think we need to celebrate him. And also in terms of like Google PSL, the vision that they had, Nabo Khoza, Nabo Kaizer, as much as like we had apartheid previously, but the football in terms of you've got your colored league, your white league, and your African, which was
predominantly the black Africans. So on that side, it was still strong, it was still supported, it was still playing, but now it was not on the mainstream and it couldn't be celebrated even internationally because of a system ebesiphila kuyo le bengakhona. So and when they came together to come and form EPSL with his partners, because remember at the end of the day we can celebrate this soccer and say this is our team and this is our chairman, but at the end of the day this is their business. So whether we like it or not, they've got each and every right to select. It's always
No, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh,
You're fine.
yeah. As much as they've got a right to select the leadership that they will want to run their business. Because EPFL is a business and that's their business. So, and I mean, I'm only happy because it's all of the chairmen who were always nominating him and bracing him to go for another term up until today. Even Dr. Patrice Motsepe, I think he endorses him twice. Since he came in taking ownership of Sundowns 100%, he always endorses Dr. Khoza to continue because and sometimes you need that trust in terms of like sponsorship and people that they've used, the people that sponsors and there's trust and there's a partnership that has been built for a long time with different sponsors and the comfortability of engaging that person good okay if we know if we do this with this person he is a pumelel and of which yes we know each and everything has to come into an end. I think is an end of an era for Foyena. Yes, he can take a well-deserved pension and stay at home. I think he'll be there in terms of like advisory capacity because she was the chairman for more than 25 years. So why not if he's there in terms of like Lokunjan.
Okay.
Yes, sometimes ngiyanceda ngikhuluma ngingafundi amalokhunjani but it's fine. Yeah, one. So I don't have a problem with him as a chairman. I think he's one of those black sellers that just need to be celebrated, guys, in terms of running a big institution like EPSL and also his contribution to SAFA. Remember who remember those days when we lost World Cup host to Germany for 2006 World Cup. Most of us we thought we'll never have a World Cup playing in Africa. But the strategy is that this guy they come and say, okay, we should change strategy. We are going to monopolize all the countries that will say the World Cup is coming to Africa, which will give us a chance. And it did give us a chance in 2010, which was also part of the contribution as the chairperson also was leading that World Cup bid. So yeah.
And very shortly, ngoba the other thing. Very shortly, will the new person or new people or would they be able to implement these new things? Ngoba, like I said, Ivan Khoza there at the top. Gavin, those people that endorsed him are still there. Those people that are running the league are still there. Can big grand ideas, independent board and things like that be run through with those people still there?
I don't see it happening now, Eli. Maybe Iskat must be here. And remember, if there's anyone who have to bring that idea, you have to bring it into the board of governors of the PSL.
Yeah.
And everyone must have a buy-in in terms of that. Okay, now do we allow our business to iphathwe abanye abantu in terms of like independence? Because at the end of the day, I'm saying that's their business. So if that person is also to buy-in from other board of governors members, then angangibona ukuthi ingeke ihlale because at the same time it's also about a buy-in from abantu abaningi, and also now if you are a leader there kumele ubachame and show them a different ideas. Okay guys, if we can do this will be the benefit of this thing. Because at the same time if we have to be honest and agree, ukuphatha kwakhe iPSL uDr Khoza and sometimes it did compromise the position yakhe kuPirates, because there are certain issues that he was supposed to viciously fight for his team, njengamanye ama-chairman esibona abo-team sokazi abenza fighting ama-position team, but yena he could not because he's a chairperson. But at the same time angaqala akhulume then uthi why because i-team yakhe nani, and sometimes it compromises i-team yakhe at the end of the day. But so far, but there's nothing you can do. But if you buy in from Bona and the new person who will be in charge, he must make sure that he who those guys who are there and show them a different light. And of which I think there is a guy who can do that, who was there before.
Yes, don't say it. I'm coming.
Oh, okay.
It's my next question. Don't say it.
Okay.
You think about Mfundo. Mfundo, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good.
Hey, Ningalu, guys at home, guys. Ningalu. Okay, I'll come back because I heard Mfundo, there's something there. Hey, Kenny, welcome to the show. How are you? Evan. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Guys, please tap the screen. Let's try to get to 15,000 likes. It's free. Just tap the screen. Follow if you have not followed. Hey, Velile, ngathi kunzima with the other guys. So I'm going to throw you to the thing that you wanted to speak about. Two questions. Do we need an administrator in this role, Dr. Khoza? Do we need a legend in this role, Dr. Khoza? Do we need people who have been affiliated with South African football? Dr. Khoza, should he step aside? Should he retire? And then, secondly, who do you think are the candidates to take over? Should he decide to retire?
Okay, I think first of all we need to define a role, a chairman in an organization. You're good to, if we say this person is a chairperson or a chairman of this organization, why? First of all, you need to be a member of that organization. You need to be a member of that organization in order to qualify for you to be a chairperson of that organization. So I'm a legend, to legend, but I don't see them occupying that space for now. Unless if you're on EPSL as the members, as the chairperson of my team, of which, as I've said, this is their business, and the board of governors decide and said, okay, no, let's change the rules there. Let's change the constitution and also allow maybe, in order for us not to be conflicted on this project that we are trying to build, allow maybe an external member who doesn't own any team or who is not holding any position on certain team to run this thing for us. It will have to start from there. And once that is done, then we can see that thing happening. But if it's not that done, you will have the members or the chairperson of my team as their business, and as the members of the PSL, one of them being the chairperson there. PSL, it will never change. The only position that can be contested a CEO, which we know very good. A CEO is a full-time.
9 years contested.
Yeah, no, Yona can say yo leyo ibashayile in terms of like fixing that, because they were supposed to leyo mina leyo, I will hit them hard with that one was supposed to be fixed a long time ago.
Yeah.
That one, yes, we know good value. You can hire anyone to manage Premier League for you, and in terms of administrators, day-to-day administrative. But as I've said, I say in terms of Google leadership, because what makes it PSL and all these other sponsors, our Khoza Makabo, when Nedbank Cup or MTN or Nedbank Cup, the biggest thing that makes EPSL is the TV deal. Without it, that and all those deals they won't even materialize. That's the biggest thing that need to be make sure it's there. And remember good foot Leo Mandela TV deal. That helps a lot in terms of like Ugrana IPSL and all those monthly grant that the other team received every month. It comes from the TV deal. And the only person who can contribute in that, and I believe also, because as I said, he has been there as the CEO. And also he's a good position also in terms of like negotiating a better deal in terms of like broadcasting right. Whether also itata ibusele ngalokho busy, but I don't see it going back because imali ayikho. So it will stay lapho ekhona, and that person is none other than Stan Matthews. He has been there as the PSL CEO. He's currently the CEO of SuperSport United, which put him closer to what in terms of like broadcasting rights are going to be negotiated, because there is in-house already in-house. He understands that business on the other side, and he's got a better relationships in terms of like multi-choice leadership and also those people who are involved in negotiating those deals. So if maybe let's say they can rob him now, and then Khoza can be in an advisory capacity for the next 2 or 3 or 5 years after Lapo, he take over the roles and continue full time being the chairperson of the PSL, and he won't lose because I think also we'll bring in new ideas with the support of the new executive committee that will be there and the board of governors. I think they can take PSL forward. They must just appoint a CEO, permanent CEO, please.
Kulusibia will never let that happen. Let me go to.
We have to look at my relationship. Already the guy is there, and I'm saying for the point of good, the guy was a CEO of PSL.
Yeah.
So,
but isn't that the issue though, Velile? And I'm gonna come back. Isn't that the issue that Ngati we're leaning on too many people that have a relationship wabo, and then we'll get into a situation where tomorrow, if Stan Matthews decides to leave, again we're gonna be shaking because he's a humble multi-choice. But I'm gonna come back to address that one. I wanna bring in Mfundo. Let me see if Mfundo is back with me. Are you with me, Mfundo?
Yeah, Gunjan.
I'm right, Mfundo. I'm throwing into the deep end.
Sapile. Let us. Okay, fine.
I want to throw into the deep end.
We understand. The guy. All right. The guy is old. Needs to go in home and relax. He done a lot of things for EPSL. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right now, let us get some new board. Let us give some new guys some time to run this business. Because if you're going to stay in Lapagu Super Sport, will come with these internships. Okay, fine. I'm able to manipulate them because I got the Super Sport. I'm running Super Sport. So let us find someone that does not occupy any position right now. So at the end of the day, we'll be able to run EPSL with someone that is legit and clean. Because we can point out some few mistakes that Khoza wenzile favoring certain teams because no ban. But then we cannot complain about that. No one is perfect. We all got a mistake. But right now, why don't you give the younger guys like the former players?
The question. And that's the question. 2 questions. Do you think that we need administrators to come in, or do we need legends, or do we need current people who are in the football? That's the first question. And number 2, who are some of the names that you'd put on the table?
Okay, the first question, we need people that are not from the board or the people who were playing soccer. Like, we cannot take the older guys who've been there. Like, for a typical example, take Ilona, ANC. ANC, the only thing that they do, they change the president, then they take from a minister from a transport by Fagele. They like changing around. That won't help. EPSL needs some new faces, some new guys that will be able to run the business rightly. People that understand the ball and South Africa, how is it? Because end of the day, there's nothing that is going to happen. Check and see. They've changed Zoom. Ramaphosa made things worse. They've changed Umpegi. Uzuma fairness. But don't feel like they're still there. But they're still there. Get some new guys. Get some few guys that are still new, that are able to run this in a good way. Because end of the day, we're going to say, okay, fine, because we are harm. But because the bank decision executive in why don't you change the whole structure and give some new people? Sometimes one good one about sneaker, so at the end of the day we'll be able to point out good, okay, fine, these guys have done this and that and that and that. So at the end of the day, so it's okay, fine. People have been given the opportunity, they are doing well, or they are failing to run this. Because at the end of the day, uzopumukoza, then we say stay and take over. Stay until good executive unabantu abawu-3 angazwani nabo. Then they will be able to manipulate him. So at the end of the day, let us not say Khoza right or Khoza wrong. Khoza ukwenzile akuzamile. Okay, we appreciate that. It's time to move on and give some New people, new fresh blood, some items to run this thing. Because if we're going to say ukuthi hayi sizonika stay nan ustay uxawe supersport. If supersport is not performing well, a business ngapha, so you need to pick. It's either you run a business or you run a club. Akasothatha inkinga zakhe, then you get someone ozokhona ukuthi onganazo zonke le inkinga. Like typical example, check ilona owner Cape Town City. That guy got the Cape Town City without any sponsors. Check how many sponsors are now. Check his doesn't. He's able to run a business. He understands the loan business, which means we need a person that is huh?
Sharp. Malebe hey, tell me, Malebe Kuto, I've brought you back in because I want to hear your take on these two questions. Do we need administrators, legends, or the people that are already in the structure to step into this role? And for you, who would some of the candidates be? Some names?
We need someone who will not be disturbed while he's giving a nice speech here on TikTok. And by the way, Umfundo reminds me of Drunk Uncle. And before anyone thinks this is a jab, just check out who Drunk Uncle is on TikTok. They sound exactly the same. But anyway, Mr. Oti, you don't need one person, but you need one person backed by a group of different people.
Yeah.
If you take a legend, just make sure with that legend is backed by business people. Those ones from African Rainbow Capital. You see those ones? Achilles heel of African football for the longest time has been dependence of Gulama financial sponsors. And they end up ruling us. But if you can get those ones from African Rainbow Capital, then those ones are able to ward off any unbiased, any influence. They are able to say, as in, without sponsors. We've seen them do it CAF, where they were able to tell sponsors, you will not rule us here. You can take your money and go home, to a point where they told SuperSport, hey, if awufuni ukushare ne-SABC yekela, and SuperSport thought they are playing, and they came back last minute to say, ay, snikeni ke nathi. So we need people who are not thirsty and hungry.
Yeah.
And for me, I would say an elect from African Rainbow Capital would help us, Mr. Oti. Mr. Oti, even though one might say I'm taking jabs at them, but because even when there's conflict, they are able to resolve this conflict within 2 hours. And they will make a call and say, no, we've spoken to them, and they will make a nice division. We've seen it ka Banyana, we've seen it ka Bafana, we've seen it ka Sundowns and PSL.
We've seen it ka CAF.
CAF. Yeah, I understand that, Mr. These people are very decisive. They can make calls to say, hey, let this thing continue. And they take concomitant action, if you know what I mean. I mean, the concomitant action is Barsab. But anyway, I vote for them, Mr. Oti, wholeheartedly, even though it sounds like I'm taking jabs at them. But if they can come in and endorse a willing legend, I think it's very important with a willing and ambitious enough legend.
Yeah.
Someone pointed it out that we always say, Lucas Khatebe this, Lucas Khatebe that. Has he put his hand out? Next thing, and he's like, I'm being a fool. You understand? For me, personal, someone I think I wish he would put his hand up. I think he's being wasted there at Manchester United. Is Penny McCarthy. I would love to see Penny McCarthy running a business, a SAFA as a whole. I would love to see SAFA and PSL merge, and this thing of separate marriages, again, separate entities come to an end. I would really love that. And I would love to have Penny McCarthy head it. Because I look at countries like Zambia, their glory days came when Kalusha Bwala took over. I look at my countries where the coaches were the legends. Abo Kana King Senegal. You look at the examples are endless, Mr. Uti.
Eto, Cameroon, Rigobert
Even,
Song.
yeah, even though with Cameroon it's still shaky ground, but they managed to qualify for the World Cup, which is an achievement on its own, Mr. Uti. And there is that thing that we need someone with an understanding of football, but then I still say they need to be backed by someone with an understanding of business so that they're not taken advantage of. So for me, if you ask me, I would love for African Rainbow Capital to endorse Upeni McCarthy and say, Mara, there's a term agent used, and I went to Google it properly when he described me. I'm not happy with the term. He said Avuti Kutu is a maverick. And I went to Google what a maverick is. So I was like, oh, you can't call me a maverick. Because the explanation there says that we can't make him CEO because he's too much of a maverick. So I fear that Upeni Makati is too much of a maverick himself.
Yeah. He rocked the boat too much.
He rocked the boat too much, Mr. Oti. But if it was down to me, I would love to see a combination of African Rainbow Capital and Penny McCarthy.
Okay. I don't know if people know who African Rainbow Capital is, but I'll leave it to them to go look for it. Rulani, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm alright, Mr. Plastom. First time we overthinking football, hosted by Isantawana, 7 Pezul, Ola Santawana.
Mina ngisandawana for mamelodi Sundowns ladies phela. But anyway, I'm throwing into the deep end. In this situation, Ivan Khoza is stepping aside. Do we need administrators? Do we need legends? Do we need Bona, the ones who are inside the ranks already, to be the ones that step up? Where do you fall on that one? And for you, I'm a candidate, so
for me, Mr. Oti, I don't think select umuntu oyedwa will be the right option. I think we need umuntu on a background the business as well as umuntu on a background administration football, and then umuntu olidlalile ibhola, Mr. Oti. So ukhuthe njengoba ekhuluma nge-rainbow what. Yeah, I mean, I also support him, Mr. Oti, because we've been we've seen AFL plan with short space of time, and it was very successful, Mr. Oti. So we need labo bantu laba with financial muscle, and not to say kube yibona abazorana, but like ukuthi seyibekile uyibeke kahle kakhulu, Mr. Oti. Like manga nominate nje umuntu well recognized and respected in South Africa, on a history with football in South Africa, and othandwa abantu, Mr. Oti. And then behlanganeke as a team and then take ama decisions with best interest yebhola South Africa, of which I doubt ukuthi kuzoba lula futhi nakhona ukuthi kufika abantu abasha, because labantu laba abalapha kwi-PSL badala, and as ubudvelile shilo ukuthi abantu abaningi abafuni ukuthi kuthinte into ama-businesses abo, yabo. So some people want like other people to take decisions ngey'mali zabo, although bezofika nama-sponsors and all that, bazofuna kodwa ukuthi nabo babe nezwi over lo muntu lo abazobe nominated. So it's a bit tricky ukuthi ubani esingamnominate, but if kungafika umuntu onemali like in our communities, Mr. Oti, you don't have to be smart to get respect. More on the man, just le razo inyuko, and then we'll get respect for being rich, Mr. Oti. And then basically uthole attention yabantu bese siyabona ukuthi uza nani after that. But like we don't need umuntu ozoba questionable when it comes to my decisions, and umuntu esingeke simthembe like with imani with PSL. So who I'll nominate, I really don't know, Mr. Oti. But Ustan has done very well kwi-previous reign yakhe as i-CEO ye-PSL, but ke abanye abathi abawafuna abantu abadala. So if it was me, I would go for umuntu one-experience. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my take.
Velile, Mtakama, I want to ask you, Guti, isn't this man the issue with Dr. Ivan Khoza stepping aside, that the people that were asking to come in, the power that they need to have or they're going to have, isn't it a risk, Guti, when they leave, or if they leave, or if they decide to leave, or they decide to do something, we are handicapping ourselves because Magagenu Stan, he's got the relationship with MultiChoice. What happens if Stan says no? If we're bringing in African Rainbow Capitals, they're coming with their own influence and power, and maybe their own agendas, let's say. What happens when they decide that they need to leave? Do we not sit with the same situation as Ivan Khoza? Is it now impossible to see avoid? Whoever comes in is going to come in with a lot of power and have the possibility to leave with a lot of power.
Every person in leadership has got an agenda, but it's up to you with that agenda on you. Is it for your own benefit or is it for the benefit of an organization? When he went for CAF president, he had an agenda, and no one saw it coming, including Jordaan. No one saw it coming because we only thought if there's chances of a South African or president, the CAF, it can be Jordaan or where, but no one saw Motsepe coming. So which means there's an agenda. Agenda would I want to be a CAF president, and once I'm there, this is what I'm going to implement, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I want to achieve. So that's why the different now it will be in terms of good agenda, could benefit a winner or you benefit organization as a whole. Look, in most cases, izinto abantu for uKhoza, who's the current PSL chairperson. Most people who are fighting him, they don't even affect Bamduselan. But because he's vocal, his agenda was to make sure that the PSL become the successful brand and the love soccer fraternity in terms of being the leading soccer in Africa.
Yeah.
That was his agenda. And so, if you've got that agenda, you also need to protect EPSL as an entity. We are protecting EPSL against who? People are going to be scrupulous, companies that are going to be scrupulous and taking chances First of all, if you get to PSL, you get a 1.5 billion sponsorship certificate deal. That's a huge achievement. Because now, if you've got that, if you've got that deal, PSL, the broadcasting right, it gives you also now powers. You've got power to go and negotiate for a sponsorship. Because once you go and negotiate for a sponsorship, it allows it gives also a sponsorship an opportunity to advertise during that time slot, say PSL. Good television, because you've got right now, you've got power to negotiate. It's like when you've got so many followers, whether on TikTok or on Facebook, you've got 20 million followers, you can go to any brand and negotiate. Listen, I've got these people, man, who are just following me. I can take this product of yours and make sure that it just becomes successful. And of which cause ufele logo by protecting a brand, the PSL. If you've got ABSA coming in as a sponsorship for 5 years, go PSL wanted to sponsor like the flagship of PSL, which is the Premier Soccer League for 5 years, contributing 500 million, which will be 100 million per season. Why would you want FNB to come with scrupulous thing and come with even set team H's in league team and advertise on the bigger scale, of which another financial institution, which is a direct competition, which is this direct competition, is also that space. There is no way, and because I was bound to fight. You see, you cannot have Telkom want to come and sponsor a Swallows and also say Google website
broadcast the games.
Is it competition? Net DSTV is going to broadcast some of the Swallows game. That cannot happen. And you, as the head of the PSL, you are bound to fight that. No, that cannot happen. You cannot have betting companies each and every weekend or every day, using your teams for people to bet, and those people are putting money. The betting companies are getting money, but you, as the PSL, as a brand, which your product is being used, they were not getting anything. He was bound to fight before saying, no, we didn't allow the betting company to sponsor our teams doing this, but now with betting companies coming on board, putting in money also, even the PSL, and they were allowed now to come. That's why you see them, even the matches, my team now they're there. But Khoza just ufele lo. You've got Motsepe coming in as a CAF president. Whoever thought ukuthi you will have so many broadcasting channels having right to broadcast the channel. Over 57 channels. It has never happened like that even in the era Hayato. You had one company sports channel from France who get all the rights of which, like you get a blanket statement of all those rights to televise in different countries of which the countries are not the same. They've got different religion and different needs there. So you have to cater. That's why you are found good multi-shows coming on board late by saying no. But you are selling to a different market. Yes, as much as SABC can have the broadcasting right, but those rights are not exclusive. You cannot make them. It's about the business that you are running and how are you going to protect it? Because people will always be there and take chances. But it's just good people, they don't read and they don't want to get that information and have information. They would know certain things are happening like this. It's because of this. You cannot have a blanket statement on each everything that will happen that can jeopardize your brand or your bill deal. And there are people who are putting in more money for your brand to succeed, and then you allow those how much who will want to use a platform for their advantage and gain. No, it cannot happen.
But then I think my bigger question becomes that I'm scared that it feels as though, and I don't know if it's true or if it's our perception of it, Guti, we are expecting whoever the incoming chairperson to be to do all of those things. Right, and my fear is that tomorrow when that person leaves, it's similar to the coaching job. Bafana, for example, we expect you to scout and develop and find and this and that and that and that and that, and those things aren't part of the job description. Are we not creating another powerful, position that has all the power? That when that person leaves or when whoever comes in leaves, Israeans are the same thing as what we are afraid is going to happen with Dr. Evan Khoza right now.
I will also refer back to what Abu Dikuti have said. The person that needs to take this seat, it's supposed to be a person also who will have the backing of all the members, you see, who will be surrounded by the people who want that person to be there. Look, EPSL has got a board of governors. It's got the executive committee. There are 6, if I'm not mistaken, executive committee. Those are the people who are surrounding the chairman. And the chairman will be the face of that executive committee. He will be one who will be communicating those decisions that are there. No, but no, I'm getting for check something. You've got executive committee, of which financial committee, Kaizer Motaung is the chairperson of that financial committee. But now, because Tina, we might say, no, Khoza, we look, some other will say, but we don't know the contribution executive committee there. And what was their contribution? What was their strength in terms of negotiating boss? Tina is the face of the PSL, which is the chairperson who will deliver all those messages which goes over Khoza. So that's why I get from the start. I will go back to issue. Let them try and make sure go executive committee on. We know whose role it is and what is their contribution. Because even for some time, we are saying John committees we are going to tola bonds for his team. But John committee has been part of the executive committee. Why we don't think bonds as good PSN? Also, John committee has got a contribution because it's part of those 6 executive committee. So that's why we might never have that information in good contribution because good PSL, the face that's going to deliver that message is the chairperson of which will cause. So that's why even if that person got the support of the executive committee corner with bring all their capabilities to run this PSL machine, they can do that. Angiboni inkinga mina.
Okay. Hey, that's what scares me because they've been running it now and they haven't been making these changes we're talking about. Angazi ukuthi they're going to do it for somebody else, but it's fine. Let me go to Fundo. Fundo, are you with me proper now?
Yeah, I'm with you properly.
I'm
So,
gonna take you.
yazi inkinga izubala.
Yeah.
We going to point finger Khoza and say Khoza failed to do 1, 2, and 3 and 4. Then the other 6 people, what they are doing. Because end of the day, we need to blame board, PSL. Don't blame ECAO. Blame the whole structure. If you're running a company, you don't run a company on your own. You got different people that you run a company with. So if a company is failing to deliver, don't blame the boss. Blame each and everyone that's running their own faculties on that company. So at the end of the day, a company goes Spanish. So okay. So 7, we need to be functional. If we give some of them are dysfunctional, why don't they also leave the company? Because we are blaming Khoza ukuthi PSL does not add the teams. Nan. Khoza though ukuthi uyakufuna lokhu ukuthi let us add the teams abe 20. Then the last 2 go straight to relegation. The Island Abama playoffs. But the 6, Maizothi Khoza, you cannot take that decision. Vote because the most important thing when it comes to making a decision, they vote. End of the day, so Khoza is failing to run PSL, is failing to do this, Khoza this, Khoza that. But we don't check ukuthi okay, kunomtaung, kunobanban melapayan. They are the one who also put in inputs to the business. So end of the day, let us not blame Khoza and say Khoza is failing to do what. No, let us blame the whole PSL board. They are failing to run the structure in the right way. Because end of the day, he's not alone.
That's what's scaring
got some
me.
people there.
That's what's scaring me about the conversation around Khoza and coming from them. Maybe they're lying, I don't know. But what's scaring me is that it seems as though Khoza, and if it's true, seems as though Khoza, Dr. Khoza, had been holding all of the ropes on his side. And Khona Lababantu that have been watching him do that or allowing him to have that power and to wield that power, if we're to believe them. So now, do we not create another Dr. Ivan Khoza, if we're asking the next chairperson to be a sponsorship person, to be administrator, to be a leader, to be business, to be this and this and this? Does that mean that we might be creating another Dr. Ivan Khoza if they are to be believed? Dr. Ivan,
Okay, let me start with this. They can select a person, put the person in power, then they can manipulate that person and make him as a fool, right? Okay, fine. Right now, what we need to do, we have to destroy the whole board. We remove all those people and find new people that will be able to work as a team. Because end of the day, we are blaming one person, but the whole structure is fucked up. So we need to sort out
language.
Sorry. That's my temper. My temper is so high right now. Right now, we need to fix Uguti. Okay, fine. Let us check Uguti. When it comes to marketing, PSL, who's in charge of that? When it comes to broadcasting, who is in charge of that? Who is in charge of Gucci? A team have to have full access to our stadium. We need to check those departments, Gucci, who are running those departments. Of course, I cannot go around and taking all those things. They need to come back to a CAO and say, we done a thorough research on that, we done a thorough research on this. So at the end of the day, we can say, Gucci, okay, fine, the board is working now. We cannot blame one person. We need to blame the whole board. Gucci, okay, fine. They are failing to run the PSL. Let us bring some new people. Someone spoke about Upeni Makat. Okay, we can bring Upeni Makat. Why don't you bring Ace? Let us bring Ace as a part of, so that we can fix in the biorefi that we are facing with PSL. If PSL is, we end up not going to our stadium to watch our game because already they are failing us. There are clumsy mistakes they are doing there. So at the end of the day, the game is end up being not in a good state.
Yeah, so why don't you bring like Junior Kani, the people that are able to analyze, the people will be able to say, no, right now we are not doing this. Let us change this. Let us bring people that has touched the ball, play the ball, has the experience. Okay, fine. So at the end of the day, small teams, no matter how travel, they are able to say, oh, hi. We have faced this. We know this. Let us sort out this because Ama teams they are not able to have equal access to Ama hotels because financially. Former players, they understand that ukuthi yazi i-team mayikanje kwenziwa ukuthi yazi i-team mayikanje senza ukuthi so at the end of the day yonke into izoba right. If uzothatha umuntu who never played soccer or on my business, they don't understand the emotion ukuthi we need to have traveling allowance rights, we need to have access rights to our hotels so that our players will rest enough. So they need abantu that they went through that stage, that they experienced that, so at the end of the day we'll be able to say good. Oh, hi, okay, fine, the pot is working right now. Oh, Khoza, okay, fine, Khoza got his own club to run, a PSL, but if we can get abantu that are not running any teams, people that are willing to do that, even check a typical example, Motsepe got a position we CAF decided to give over kumfanakhe ilona i-Sundowns. You understand? We understand ukuthi that position needs my full attention. So at the end of the day, I'll be able to go to Algeria and deal with my situation as Algeria. I have to go to Egypt and deal with that. I have to go to Morocco and deal with those situations. But manje mazothatha umuntu umnika position une-club. Mana stress out ukuthi okay fine, I need to go and scout some players for recap yam nama issue kuleyo department oyiphethe. How are you able to deal nama issue leyo department while usase nama issue ye-club? End of the day ugcina frustrated nawe usungazi ukuthi ama decisions wathatha kanjani. Uthi ulungisa i-club ngapha kuyamoshakala ngapha kule department oyiphethe. So at the end of the day uthi ubani. Let us get some new people who are able to
I'm just gonna have to jump in there. I'm just going to have to jump in there for time's sake, Fundo. Let me go to Malome Kuto. Malome Kuto, I've got the same question for you. Are we not asking for another Dr. Irvin? And I like some of the things that Umfundo has spoken about there, about what does this say about the team that's around him? If everybody's shaking South African football and they're all saying that, hey, this is going to happen when Dr. Irvin leaves, are we not asking again for a controlling power to be chairperson instead of having a working structure? And what happens when that controlling power leaves?
Mr. OT, I love what Mfundo said, and it brings me to say we are fighting no one, just trying to fix South African football. Understand that?
You guys.
However, I don't remember Richard Masters playing for any football team, yet he is in charge of the biggest league in the world. So whether you play or not, it's neither here nor there. It's are you able to do what you have to do, which is what is presented in front of you, Mr. Uti. And for me, now, Mr. Uti, you know, institutions like Lao football, I feel like they're subject to extreme change, radical change. So you can never really have a succession plan. I change completely or disband the brand completely because there was NFL, NSL. You don't know when you go into the history
NPSL.
You understand? NPSL. That there was a league, there were 3 leagues at some point, and Chiefs was playing 3 leagues or something like that until they decided to settle on this one. So Vele with this kind of transition from one leader to the next, like I'm really predicting a marriage between SAFA and PSL where it will just be one thing. There will be a rapid change. So we won't necessarily be creating a new Khoza, but we will be accepting a new Iron Juke. You understand, Mr. Uti? And me, I already have a horse that I'm betting on, and I hope that horse is willing to run.
in the frame of the people I mentioned.
Mm.
However, yeah, and you know, Putveli mentioned something very important. Everyone who comes into leadership has their own agenda, Mr. Uti. What we have to be sure of is that their agenda doesn't hurt us. Whether their agenda is to further their own business interest, it must just not hurt us. If it elevates us, the two can run parallel while they elevate themselves and also elevate South African football, then why not? Yeah, I understand, Mr. Oti. I mean, I fully support people who come in, radical change. For example, we've seen people come in and change the entire format of the Champions League. When you read through the history of the Champions League, the amount of times it has changed a format, even the name, even when you come to ECAF, the fact that it has changed the name, the format, it shows you with football. Administration regime they almost changed the entire complexion of the tournament. I mean, Mr. Gianni Infantino has come in and has extended the World Cup. The number of teams is different and the format is not different. There's 3 teams. Dr. Patrice has come into ECAF, he has changed the entire format, not the entire format, but he has expanded the number of teams that participate from 16, I think, and we now have 24, and it's working. And we see Liko UEFA, they're now saying they will be playing an entire league where some teams won't play other teams. You'll 6 teams, you understand, Mr. So if football is always subject to change, so we must not panic. The sponsors, on the other hand, now this is where I'm going to walk a very tight rope and say it's understandable why sponsors would panic.
Yeah.
Let's remember, let's be honest. And I repeat, this is just, there is no proof to what I'm about to say. I'm just saying it just for, sometimes some sponsors, they solicitate money through something. You understand? And it might be that there was an exchange. It's not necessarily anything to do with the football. So it might be they don't trust the next person to deliver the as they have been, whether it's kickbacks or whether it's just pushing the brand forward. These are things that we might not be privy to. But I understand why sponsors themselves might panic because they know exactly what the relationship brings. They understand. However, if someone else comes in and has his own people, we can delete those ones. Hamba naba hamba, Mr. Oti. Mina, I'm happy with that. And to honor Dr. Khoza, Mr. Oti, I would love for everyone, all 70 people here, to tap the screen for at least 30 seconds, Mr. Oti. It's 15,000 likes within the next 2 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Oti.
Thank you, Manuel Kuto. I think my fear, honestly, guys, my fear is that. Actually, let me bring in Kolani. I'm gonna ask you first before I come to my thoughts. Are we not creating another situation where Ivan Khoza, who rightfully so at his time had to take everything on by himself, had to be the leading force of a lot of these things, and now that he's letting go, it seems and again, this is just from the people who have been speaking. It seems as though South African football is shaking a little bit at the prospects of somebody else coming in, because Dr. Ivan Khoza bekazenza zonke lezinto. Now, if we bring in somebody else ozenza zonke lezinto, are we not at risk of now sitting again with a situation where they might want to retire and then ziyawa food?
According to my understanding, EPSL yakho babkhoza ngithi nabo mntawonke, like it's sort of like a private company. So he might go to Mpeshenini but still be involved because business like it, to be honest. Mr. Otsi. So it's understandable that sponsors will be kakazeling, you know, and if what I'm saying is true, EPSL yabo, I think they should make a call Ubabo Patrice and ask for Kuzana reference ubani singamthatha because we know we're still busy lapha ku-CAF. Ubani ongamrecommenda because we know ukuthi uphethe pulling business wise, and sibonile ukuthi you've made AFL successful ngo 3 months. like 3 months, Mr. OT. Our winners are cashed in 75 million. Like, what was what beyond Mr. OT? You've never heard of that. So, for his company to be successful, I think he should make a call. Afonela ama billionaires now. Athatha ama vital decisions and aqhubeke akhulisa company yabo, because Mr. OT masingakhuluma iqiniso, Patrice did a lot in a short space of time. And the fact ukuthi uzathatha ngisho imali yakhe and also fund i-CAF ukuthi like ama plans abo bakwazi ukuthi bawaqedelele kahle. So I think he should make a call. And as Khoza said ukuthi uba Patrice usibaro wakhe cupcake, like uyabona lo muntu ukuthi ayikho into anganayo ngithola Mr. OT. So yeah, I'll say there's ukuthi akafone. I think he has umuntu and futhi Dr. Patrice he highly respects ubab Khoza, and I think ukusebenzisana kwabo, and the fact that ukuthi ubab Patrice hasn't ran for ukuba CEO, it shows ukuthi we respect ubab Khoza. So yeah, I think he should make a call for it.
Oh, 15,000. Thank you, guys. Please carry on liking. Guys, I'm going to close it because I'm going to be back at 11 o'clock for the watch along. Yeah, Bafana versus Algeria. You'll find me live here. These are my thoughts. My final thoughts about this in my, oh, really?
Hayi, before ufake wakho umbono bengithi ngigcwalisele kancane lapha kuXolani ukuthi hayi impela ubaba uMtsipe ukuthi unamandla ngambona ngeGlobal Citizen lapha abafolise bonke phambili lapha, aqale ngolikhanyana weza ngesilo samabandla onke laseNatal nabafundisi kodwa hayi namandla babamba amahlombe ithi ngokunika imali engayo yomhlaba ngathi hayi ufikele le ndoda
inamandla. And then on top at Beyonce, Jay-Z out of the blue.
Beyonce uba uzotufuna.
I think, guys, in this conversation, my fear now is that the PSL was meant to be run a certain way because there was a need for it to be run that way. There was a need for ubab Khoza to come in, and be the steering force of the PSL. There was no structures. There was no proper what. They had to create it. You know, him and Kaizer and a couple of people had to go and figure out, Guti, okay, when we do TV deals, we're not going to hire out a law firm or whatever. As ubab Khoza, I'm going to get into a plane, I'm going to fly to Manchester, I'm going to sit down with them, they're going to show me how I'm going to come back. As this, I'm going to learn how to do that thing, because at the time, there was no structures or anything for them to do it. So they needed to do that, right? I'll give you an example. I do everything here. Bomba graphics, editing, the live, the what, I need to do all these things because I'm at that time. But there comes a point where you need to progress, and there comes a point where you need to start doing things differently, where you hand things over, where people learn from you and all of that stuff. And I feel like EPSL has been delaying those things for so long because they were leaning on ubab Khoza. And what tends to happen in that situation is situations like, for example, at Manchester United, where Alex Ferguson leaves after holding it for so long, and because nobody thought to go out and get the skills or to go out and build those things so that Magahamba, it's built. You have to start from scratch. And I'm not going to say that starts from scratch, that PSL is going to start from scratch, or is that it's going to break down. What I'm saying is that we must be careful, that I feel like PSL is at the point right now, if it is true about him retiring, that they need to look at themselves and say, should we be in a situation where the relationship with MultiChoice or whoever is not with the league, it's with a person? And what happens when that person leaves? Tate Motsepe steps into the role and he brings all of those things with him, and he goes, okay, I'll bring sponsors, I'll bring this, I'll bring that, I'll cover costs, I'll do that. What happens 10 years from now, 5 years from now, for whatever reason, Tate Motsepe decides, hi guys, I need to retreat back to my life. And he goes with all of those things. I fear that is the problem with the PSL right now, that those relationships, those skill sets, those people, those structures were not brought in. What I enjoy about Sundowns is that you can point to the structure. Whether you put Klopi there, there's a structure. Whether you put this person there, there's a structure below them where Klopi doesn't have to go scout for players. Klopi doesn't have to go figure out funding. Klopi doesn't have to go do all these things because Sundowns matured to the point where they got to there, right? The EPL matured to the point where Masterson, is it Masters or Masterson? Masters, the guy who's chairing the EPL, you can take him out tomorrow and put somebody else in. The structure is there. It's not all hinging on him, or the things that he's in control of personally are not the whole league. And my fear is that when we do move and the PSL has to change and grow, you're going to bring in another person who's coming with all those things on their shoulders. And then all of the owners below are now shaking. All of the below, they're shaking because if Ubab Irvin goes, who's going to make the phone call? Who's going to fly to Manchester? Who's going to call multi-choice? Who's going to negotiate those deals? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? When in actual fact, at this point, 28 years into the PSL, surely those things should be taken care of. And I feel like it's something in South African football as a whole where we struggle with. We don't want a coach to be a coach. We want the coach to be the head scout and the structure inputter and the person who does this and he builds this and he does that, it does ta-da. Then the coach leaves and we're in hot water. So I think and again, this is now, I don't know what it's like at the PSL. We don't know whether they have these things already in place. But my fear is that Khoza holds so much power, and the reason why he's come back unopposed so many years and been voted for is because there's a lot of people, and I've said this about clubs too, there's a lot of people who are stealing livings within South African football, where I just have to lean on Khoza making the phone call. I'm a sponsor. Where is that? I can't get sponsors. We haven't figured out a methodology to get sponsors or how we can bring them on board or how we can do whatever. But Khoza, can you make the phone call? Can you bail us out? Can you do this? Can you do that off of the relationships that he has? What happens when those relationships are gone? But anyway, guys, that's the topic for today. If you have not followed, please follow. If you want to watch it back, if you arrived late, it is available in full on YouTube. You can go and watch them there. The show is on every Monday.
Can I just say something?
Very quickly, very quickly. I'm on a tight timeline.
All right. What we need to do as EPSL, let us go and scout people. They will be able to do the sales. They will be able to do the good marketing before we allow the guy to retire. Let us sit down with the guy, share the information that he got while he was running the company, so that at the end of the day, we are able to say, okay, he give us some philosophy that use that philosophy, so that at the end of the day we are able to build a better PSL. Yes, the sponsors will some of them will run away, but let us not be afraid. Let us run it and give it a time. End of the day, PSL is going to be much better. PSL will grow into a better apartment that we'll be able to be proud of. Let us not be afraid for him to leave. Let us allow him to leave, then get some new blood that will be able to run the company. Finish. Let us stop having that fear. What if who leaves? What are we supposed to do? Let us allow the guy to leave and run his own club. Then we focus on building a PSL to a better stage.
I'm scared that they were meant to do that, but they haven't been doing it. That's my problem here. Guti, they got into a place where they got so comfortable, they kept extending. We don't have a CEO. Matumadala has been acting as CEO for 9 years. They have not done those things. And I don't think that those people who have been there will be capable of making these decisions. And that's where my fear comes from. But anyway, guys, I'll see you guys at 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock, I'll be back. Please subscribe if you have not subscribed. If you want to be part of the WhatsApp group, that's where I get to learn more from you guys, a lot more. Just head on over to YouTube, click on subscribe, click on join, and you'll get access to the WhatsApp group, and we'll be able to speak a lot more without time constraints. And I can learn. Guys, I learn from the guys in the group every day. There's things that I didn't know. There's opinions of mine that have to change because of new information. I may fight it, but it's all about learning. It's all about everything. And we get to debate and speak much deeper. So if you want to be part of that community offline, 24/7 available, go on over to YouTube, click on subscribe, click on join, and you'll be there. Guys, I'll be back at 11 o'clock for Bafana versus Algeria. Bye, guys.